Hello students, before doing the development of Herdmania, here I am doing the reproductive system of Herdmania, and this is included in life history of Herdmania part 9. So let's begin. In the reproductive system, the first and foremost come the gonads, and these gonads you can understand them under two heads: their structure and the gonoducts. Now here you can see the diagram of the gonad. This is the left gonad seen from inner side, and this is the TS of gonad. And TS of gonad means it is a TS of one of these lobes, which is having the testicular region on the outside and the ovarian region on the inside. So first let's do the structure of gonad. Each adult gonad is an elongated, lobulated and hermaphrodite gland measuring 3 to 4 centimeter long, 1 centimeter wide and 2 to 3 millimeter thick. There are 10 to 25 distinct oval or rounded lobes arranged in two rows, one on either side of central axis. These are the lobes. They are from 10 to 25. Means if there are 25, then there are 12 to 13 lobes inside and 12 to 13 lobes outside, or 12 lobes on one side, 12 lobes on the other side, and one central, the apical lobe present on the tip of the gonad. The median lobe present at the proximal end is the largest, unpaired and crescentic or bean shaped. This is the apical lobe, and it is bean shaped, kidney like shape, and the other lobes are all paired. This one pair, two pair, three pair, four pair, like this. Each lobe is made of a larger brick red cortical, peripheral or outer testicular region. This one. The testicular zone is made up of closely packed spermatic ceca or tubules lined by germinal epithelium forming spermatogonia, spermatocytes and spermatozoa. Inside the testicular zone, there is the ovarian zone or the ovarian lobe. The ovarian zone has a lobulated surface. This here it is shown inside. The ovarian zone is a lobulated surface due to formation of ovarian follicles. These are the ovarian follicles containing rounded ova in various stages of development. Each lobe of gonad is thus an ovotestis or a hermaphrodite gland. Ovotestis means the outer region is the testes and the inner region is the ovum. So this is a hermaphrodite gland. Then next comes the gonoducts. The B part of gonads is gonoducts. Each gonad has two gonoducts, oviduct and spermatic duct. Now you can see here it is labeled the spermatic duct, and oviduct is not labeled. Here if you concentrate on this area, this is the oviducal aperture and this is the oviduct. The fat, thicker or broader tube below this white narrow tube is the oviduct, and this is the oviducal aperture, and above this is placed the spermatic duct. and above I'm saying, but if you see it in the animal, it is placed inside. If we are seeing the animal from the right side, where this will be the right side, the gonad will be seen like this, one side of the gonad, and which is present below the pericardium, and the spermidicule aperture and the sperm ductule or the spermatic duct, it is situated inside towards the branchial sac, or attached or placed in the groove of a branchial sac. The oviduct is a wider tube formed by the union of ovarian ductules, one from ovarian zone. This is the ovarian zone and this is the duct. Ovarian zone and the duct, ovarian zone and the duct, ovarian zone and the duct, ovarian zone and this duct. So like this it goes. It extends beyond the gonad for a short distance and opens into cloaca or dorsal atrial cavity, a little behind the anus, by an oviducal aperture bordered by 4 thick lips. Here you can see these are the 4 thick lips. The spermatic duct or vas deferens is a much narrower duct formed by the union of spermatic ductules, one from testicular zone of each lobe. So these are the testicular zones, and you can see very clearly that the ducts are starting from here, from this testicular zone, and then ending into the spermatic duct or the vas deferens. It runs along the inner side of the oviduct and opens independently into cloaca by a spermideucal aperture, a little behind the oviducal aperture. Both the gonaducts are lined by cilia internally. So this was about the gonads, the structure of the gonad, and this is the TS of gonad. You can see here it is labeled TS of gonad. So when we cut a transverse section, this is the inner ovarian zone or region, and this is the outer testicular zone. If we cut a TS of this lobe, imagine if you are cutting a TS of this zone, then in the TS this area will be the ovarian area, this area, and surrounded by this testicular zone. So this is all around the testicular zone. You can make it out by the labeling. These are the ova, the oviduct, and the ciliated epithelium of the oviduct and ova. So this whole region, inside region, is depicting the ovarian zone, and this outer zone is depicting the testicular region. And in this testicular region, you can see the spermatic ceca, the ciliated epithelium inside it, inside the spermatic ceca or spermatic duct. So this is all about the gonads. We come to the gametes. Reproductive system is made up of gonads, and these gonads, they produce gametes, and the gametes are of two types. You are well versed with this. One is the sperm and the other is the ovum. The sperms, as you can see, their structure, it consists of 3 regions: the acrosome, the head, the neck, and the tail. Actually, the sperm is made up of 2 parts: the main body containing the nucleus and the tail. Or you can say it is composed of 3 regions: the head, the neck, and the tail. And the head, in turn, it has a beak-like structure in front, which is known as the acrosome. So this is the diagram of sperms, and there are 3 kinds of sperms. One which is having the equal size of acrosome as the body, one which is having a bigger size of acrosome than the body, and the third one having a smaller acrosome as compared to the body. So these are the three types of sperms. And the second diagram is of a mature ovum. A mature ovum is a large, about 0.3 millimeter in diameter. Considerable amount of yellowish granulated yolk is distributed in its cytoplasm. The large nucleus situated on one side contains a conspicuous eccentric nucleolus and a dense layer of chromatin granules beneath the nuclear membrane. Three membranes surround the ovum: vitelline membrane, inner chorion, and outer chorion. The thin vitelline membrane is secreted by the ovum itself and closely applied, forming its wall. The diagram is very clear and you can see all the structures which I have said. The vitelline membrane, the inner chorionic membrane and the outer chorionic membrane. And between this chorionic membrane there is a interchorional fluid, and outer chorionic membrane is covered with the outer follicle cells, and this is the vitelline membrane, and this is the perivitelline fluid, and this is the nucleus and this is the nucleolus, and in the nucleus there are chromatin granules. So this is the diagram of ovum. The ovum lies eccentrically in the perivitelline fluid, enclosed by the space between the vitelline membrane and the inner chorion. Eccentrically means you can see that this perivitelline space, it is less over here and it is more over here. Like the ovum, it is shifted towards one side, and this shifting towards one side or towards the outer wall of one side is said to be eccentric. The space also contains a large number of small sized inner follicle cells, some floating in the fluid but mostly attached to the vitelline membrane. These cells nourish the ovum and secrete an enzyme which digests the chorion to facilitate hatching. The narrow space between the two chorion is filled with an interchorional fluid. Attached to the outer surface of outer chorion are many vacuolated large-sized outer follicle cells which serve to keep the ovum floating in water. So this was about the gametes, the sperm and the ovum. The last comes the fertilization. Last in this lecture, then we will continue in the next one. The next one I am going to do the development of herdmania. Although herdmania is hermaphroditic, but self-fertilization is rare because the ovarian region mature earlier, and this is known as the protogynous condition. When gametes become mature, they are expelled out in seawater through atrial current, and external fertilization takes place in seawater. So thank you, and next time I hope you will be present for the next lecture on herdmania, which is very important, and it is the development of herdmania. So thank you for now. And look forward to my other lecture.